Hello, everyone. A very logical day to all of you. So, welcome to the analysis of the English section of the first VIOM conducted by Vidhigya. So, how was the test? I hope you performed well. Yes, that is what I hope. And secondly, I hope that even if you got your answers incorrect, through this analysis, you will be able to understand what was required, how you could have tackled those questions in less time than you must have devoted in the actual test when you took now. Or secondly, you would be learning a few tricks, a few techniques of how to perform in the test, how to come to the accurate answers in the test because you have a limited time there. Right. So here we have in the English section 5 passages, 5 questions each. So overall, 25 questions in the English section of the Vidhigya India Open Mock Test. First, so 5 passages, varied topics. You can see here now technology, first one. So you will be able to relate very well with this, right? Facial recognition, जो कि बड़ी आम बात है, Facebook में आएगा. ठीक है, moderate level था. Why? Because a little tricky passage. You could have related a little tricky question, but getting 4 out of 5 would be very good here. Otherwise, at least 3 would have done. Economics, again, most of you feel have an aversion for economics. Why? Because you all are not reading much, right? And one thing that we suggest also is that you should be reading varied topics. In the newspapers also, you'll get those topics. So you have to read. मतलब वो have to को दिमाग में अंडरलाइन कर लेना तो ये तो पढ़ना ही पड़ेगा otherwise you will be spending more time in reading and understanding the passage when it comes to economics, right? So let us see what we have here. Economics, ethics and market है. Then there's a third passage based on religious persecution. थोड़ा सा contemporary है but समझ में आ जाना चाहिए if you can get the or extract the central idea. Then education, talking about the deemed university, ये कोई act है उसमें तो again you will be related to it. But then easy passage किया है हमने मार्क से. So getting all 5 correct would be excellent. Yes, who would not want that? And the fifth one, veganuary. हमें और कुछ नहीं समझ में आएगा. vegan word तो समझ में आ जाता है कि आजकल vegan बहुत चलता है. So there's a topic, there was an article based on that. It is a lengthy article, but then yes, easy to moderate कर सकते हैं. 5 questions है, अगर 3 भी सही चले जाएंगे तो बहुत अच्छा है if you are doing it in the end. Otherwise, 4 on 5 would be excellent here. So overall, what we need here is to devote 25 minutes to 27 minutes for doing. Yes, I would suggest you would do all the passages, right? By now you should come, you should actually get into the habit of doing 25 questions in 25 minutes, at the most 27 minutes. If you are able to do all this, attempt all 25 questions, you will be getting, say, 19 to 20 correct. If you get 19 to 20 correct, that would be, as we said, an excellent score. Even 19 correct, if you get and you have attempted all 25, that means 6 questions incorrect, or 6 questions incorrect means 1.5. 1.5 माइनस करेंगे तो हम कितने कितने सही जाएंगे, हमारे पास 17.5 आ जाएगा. So 17.5 से लेके if we come up with say 19 marks also, that would be very good. As of now, because this is June, we need to improve, right? We need to always come, our graph should be moving this way. Right. So by the end of October, we should get, out of 25, we should be able to do at least 22 correct. तो जाके 20 प्लस में मार्क्स आ जाएंगे अक्टूबर नवंबर में, वो आना चाहिए मतलब सितंबर अक्टूबर तक. ठीक है. So 20-25 questions would be a good attempt. Excellent score would be 19 plus anything that we are getting correct. Decent score would be 16 plus. So if you are attempting say 22 questions also and you are getting 16 correct, that means you will come down to say around 14.5 or 15 marks. 15 marks. So 15 marks decent score मानेंगे हम, और excellent score हो जाएगा हमारे पास 19 plus marks. ठीक है. If you are solving or attempting anything between 20 to 25. So that should be your target. And let's see what you did. Now you need to pay attention to when we are reading so that you get the central idea while we are reading only, because this is what we have been practicing in our editorial explain. If you are following that on the channel there on the YouTube, I take the editorial explained daily. If you are not, kindly follow so that you get to understand the techniques that we apply for the understanding of the central idea, extracting the central idea from the passage, right? So many of us had our first conscious encounter with facial recognition software on where else? Facebook. It was 2010, and suddenly every time we uploaded a photo, we were being told the identities of people in it. But this is how fast we adapt. Soon it wasn't creepy. पहले creepy लगता था, मतलब हमने फोटो अपलोड किया और एकदम से सबके नाम आ गए. The technology knows the name of the people, names of the people, and we do not know. That is what he said. Even strange that an amorphous tech company know our acquaintances proper names when we didn't. As a pointed dialogue in an otherwise pointless K-drama, 12 Nights goes, when do you take photos? When you don't want to let go and when you don't want to let go of the moment. So this was a Faustian bargain. We would cling to ever more moments than our memory could hold, surrender privacy to gain a teeming eternity forevers with countless whomevers. That was the main point. He said that we get those photographs. Why? Why do we take them? Because we need to capture the moment. But it was not only capturing. You say you capture the moment, but you do not live the moment. राइट यू वांट टू टेक समथिंग टू इटर्निटी हमेशा के लिए रखना है लेकिन आप उस वक्त को उस मोमेंट को आप जीते नहीं हो वाई बिकॉज यू आर बिजी टेकिंग द फोटोग्राफ so that is what he said surrender privacy to gain a teeming eternity forevers with countless whomevers all this priming means no matter how much the experts warn us, we cannot really fear the digital panopticon looming over us on the back of the advances in facial recognition technology. So, did you read that China is harnessing it to track minorities and build a social credit system? Huh, not to worry. I am an A grade citizen. Did a Taylor Swift concert just collect people's photographs without their consent to weed out the stalkers? Hey, I think stalkers are the pits. Can shoppers really swipe their payments with a smile? Cool, can't wait to try that. The thing is, hitherto, our social interactions have depended on not one but a bag full of faces, albeit less intriguingly than Arya Stark's. To prepare a face to meet the faces that you meet is a poetic line that serves this happy holiday season particularly well. See, I would say this is based on technology, facial recognition है. But the way the author is writing is a little based on literature. उसका तरीका देखो, when I was reading, you saw the intonations, ups and downs थोड़े होते हैं. पर ये हम पढ़ते वक्त automatically आ जाते हैं. So when you're reading also, you'll be able to understand that this is what the author is like. The style of the author would be very different here, but then he comes back to the main point. To prepare a face to meet the faces that you meet, where you're meeting faces means meeting many people, but you are preparing your own face, matlab you're trying to hide what you actually feel. And then he comes up with the examples. So to attend the office party pretending that colleague X doesn't affect you like fingernails on chalkboard, or that you are genuinely delighted at the promotion of colleague Y, to share dinner with a motley crowd that shares your DNA without spilling that Mossy G is having a wild extramarital affair or Tinku is now contributing to the country's NPA problem. Through it all, you smile like sunshine. ये सब problems हैं, and still you are there smiling, laughing with the people. That means you are expressing not your original feelings. Can anyone tell this? How well do they recognize or feel? Do they know the secret of your many faces? So, human beings have a universal talent for beguiling one another. It is a basic grease of society. Beguiling matlab cheating. अब यहाँ से the second part of the paragraph was giving you examples. Examples to establish what? Examples to establish that we always keep a face in front of others. Not always in the sense of always, but then, yes, there are many people who do so. So they are cheating. Beguile is deceiving, cheating, right? You're pretending. So it is a basic grease of society. Now its existence is under threat. मतलब अब हम beguile या cheat लोगों को नहीं कर सकेंगे. क्यों? Logical consequence of facial surveillance is the end of dissembling. कि अब ये जो दिखावा करना है तो dissembling का meaning हमें समझ में आ जाएगा. Even if we have not heard about the word before, right? We can understand it from the preceding sentence and the following sentence. So the machines will know every time you pull a fast one. Relationships will have to be rewritten from scratch. Until then, only allies are us. So easy passage should have taken 2 minutes at the most to read. Because if you are able to apply prep, which we usually do in reading, we apply, and most of you have come into the habit of how to apply prep. So mentally filtering it out कि ये एग्जाम्पल्स हैं, ये पूरा एक्सप्लेनेशन है, बैकग्राउंड बिल्डिंग है जो ऑथर दे रहा है. तो एग्जाम्पल्स और रीजनिंग या रैशनल को हटा के हमारे पास मेन पॉइंट है. तो मेन पॉइंट क्या है? फेशियल रिकॉग्निशन टेक्नोलॉजी विच इज एक्चुअली रिमूविंग द मास्क फ्रॉम द फेसेस, राइट? एंड दैट इज द एंड ऑफ deceit, right? Coming up with an example of China that it is using it for surveillance, then example of all these things, the second paragraph, last few lines, which establish that the secret of our many faces will now be revealed. And the first paragraph was about the facial recognition technology, wo bolta hai. Right? So now if you're able to understand these 3 points, come to the questions. Based on the information provided in the passage, what is the potential consequence? Potential consequence we just read in the last paragraph. So it was what? The end of dissembling. So I would call this a direct question, but then direct questions are also easy. No, not always easy. You need to pay a little more attention क्योंकि यहाँ पे confusing options होते हैं फिर हमारे पास. देखो, end of dissembling as machines can accurately detect when individuals are being deceptive. That was, we remember, that was in the third paragraph, a small one. But rewriting relationships as trust and authenticity become paramount in a world. मतलब rewriting relationship हमें लगेगा कि हाँ ये भी आंसर हो सकता है, लेकिन ट्रस्ट एंड ऑथेंटिसिटी की बात थी क्या कि ट्रस्ट बहुत जरूरी है अभी आजकल की दुनिया में. हाँ जरूरी है, but then that was not what was talked about in the passage. So though if we go only according to the words, that will be making us mark an incorrect answer. ठीक है, तो हमें जो पैसेज में दिया है हमें उसे एग्जैक्टली उसी कॉन्टेक्स्ट में समझना पड़ता है. So you have A as the answer. And the next thing was like increased reliance on facial and enhanced convenience in various aspects, just as making payments and all. That was not even mentioned right there, but then that was not the major information given. So we need to extract the point, and the point was of dissembling because of the facial recognition technology. Right? Coming to the second one now. Yeah, it was here also. The last paragraph. Right. Bringing it from here and the first paragraph. The first paragraph से second paragraph से marks हमारे पास एक pointers आ जाते हैं और third paragraph तक उसका आंसर बन जाएगा. Based on the information provided in the passage, which of the following is true? So facial recognition technology has led to increased surveillance and loss of privacy. Possible है. It is being used to beguile users, but then recognition तो deceit को हटा दे रही है. ठीक है, a few of you in a hurry would mark the B sentence. Possible. Why? Because you'll understand the word technology, facial recognition, and you'll see that fine, beguile users भी तो दिया है. Third paragraph में याद आ जाएगा word पर. Go back to the paragraph. Read it carefully. They will be no longer able to beguile the users. नहीं कर सकेंगे, लोगों को डिसीव नहीं कर सकेंगे अब इस टेक्नोलॉजी की वजह से. तो B is the contradictory one. No, B will not be the answer. Disguising is no longer necessary. तो was it necessary before that? ठीक है, हम लोग critical reasoning भी करते हैं, तो no longer necessary मतलब पहले necessary था, ये हम मान लेते हैं. Right? We can understand. This is the implied thing, no? So you need to come up with the understanding of the language, the way the sentences are constructed. हमें वो समझ में आना चाहिए, तो ऑथर का थॉट प्रोसेस भी समझ में आएगा। ठीक है, तो नो लॉन्गर नेसेसरी को हम अंडरलाइन करके आउट कर देंगे। एंड फेशियल हैज नॉट सिग्निफिकेंटली अफेक्टेड, पर यहाँ से नॉट हमें ध्यान से पढ़ना है। व्हाट मोस्ट ऑफ यू डू इज दैट यू जस्ट स्किप वर्ड्स। यू नीड टू अवॉइड स्किपिंग वर्ड्स, नीड टू रीड पेशेंटली, नीड टू रीड केयरफुली, तो समझ में आएगा कि अगेन डी ऑप्शन इज द कॉन्ट्रडिक्शन ऑफ व्हाट वाज गिवन इन द पैराग्राफ। Therefore, we have A as the answer. I hope you have understood this. So we'll move to the next question. Again, you will get all the pointers in the passage. Third question. According to the passage, which of the following is the reason individuals have adapted to the use of facial recognition technology despite potential privacy concerns? Adapt हो गए, आदत पड़ गई है। क्यों आदत पड़ गई है? It offers the convenience of identifying people and uploaded. ठीक है, टेक्नोलॉजी को पता है, हमें पता है, ग्रुप है, स्कूल का एक फोटोग्राफ है, एंड यू डू नॉट नो हु दैट पर्सन वाज। ठीक है, पॉसिबल है ये हो। China is using this technology to track minorities and build, but this was particularly about China. That means this was an example. हमने जब वो किया कि we should be able to identify the parts of the paragraphs according to the role they play. So it can be a reasoning, it could be an example, but China was an example. And what was the question here? It is a reason why individuals have adapted. तो फिर चाइना एक रीजन नहीं आएगा, चाइना हटा देंगे। Social interactions have become more complex and multifaceted due to, so they have become complex due to facial recognition, right? But then question again, why have individuals adapted to all this? So out. It has made social interactions more genuine and transparent. ठीक है, मतलब अगर facial recognition technology से हम we are not able to beguile others, we are not able to fool others or deceive others, does that mean that now our relationships have become genuine? Vice versa is not always true. Syllogism लगा के देखना थोड़ा, ठीक है, तो ये भी आउट हो जाएगा। हम डिसीव नहीं कर पाएंगे, इसका मतलब ये नहीं है हम genuinely express, we won't genuinely express, we will not do anything, we can be neutral also, right? So D will not be there. Your answer is again A. A very easy. Therefore, I said that direct questions है, आ जाएंगे directly, हमें पता है adaptation वाला कहाँ पे था, adapt होना. But then you need to be careful. China का example was here, and therefore panopticon looming over us. मतलब क्या problem है इससे, ये था, इसका example China का दिया था, right, to prove this point. Fourth question, which of the following reflects the focus of the passage on facial recognition technology and its impact on social interactions? So, focus of the passage and its impact. दो चीजें हमें समझनी है. Use of facial recognition technology by a tech company to identify people and uploaded photographs. ये तो था, but क्या ये focus है? Right? We need to question this. And is it doing anything for the social interactions? Right now, no. So we can eliminate on this point, eliminate हो जाता है, focus of the passage का सही है, तो एक सही है लेकिन एक point missing है. China's implementation of facial recognition technology to track minorities and build a social credit system, B वाला. But again understand, social interactions की बात नहीं थी यहाँ पे, right? Focus China's implementation पे नहीं था. Again as I said, China का एक example था बस. एग्जाम्पल ऑथर यूज करता है अपने ही पॉइंट को प्रूफ करने के लिए या सपोर्ट करने के लिए. सो बी विल नॉट बी द आंसर. कलेक्शन ऑफ पीपल्स फोटोग्राफ्स एट अ टेलर स्विफ्ट कॉन्सर्ट विदाउट द कंसेंट, दिस वाज लाइक एस्टैब्लिशिंग. ये देखो ये होता है कि विदाउट कंसेंट हमने, मतलब फोकस क्या था, प्राइवेसी, राइट, दैट वाज eliminated there, and this is the same thing. So the collection of people's photographs at a Taylor Swift concert without their consent, तो बिना उनके पता हुए हमने किसी के फोटोग्राफ्स लिए, और यही काम हो जाता है फेशियल रिकॉग्निशन पे. ठीक है, you get to know who that person is without his knowledge also, right? इसका मतलब privacy hamper हो जाती है. That was the major focus. Attending an office party and pretending to have positive feelings towards colleagues, again, this was only in the example part. ठीक है, तो अगर दो एग्जाम्पल्स हैं तो हम उसे एलिमिनेट कर देंगे क्योंकि हमें फोकस ऑफ द पैसेज बताना है और जो रिफ्लेक्ट करता है. तो इट वाज नॉट लाइक द प्राइम कंसर्न ऑफ द पैसेज ऑफ द ऑथर, राइट, और ऑब्जेक्टिव ऑफ द ऑथर, ये वाले क्वेश्चंस नहीं है. ये होता है कि सिर्फ जो फोकस ऑफ द पैसेज को रिफ्लेक्ट करेगा, मतलब बताएगा. तो जो कुछ पैसेज में दिया गया है, that is reflected in this sentence, that without the person's knowledge his identity is revealed. That was what the focus of the passage was. Facial recognition say your identity is revealed without your knowledge. The same thing as people are taking photographs in the concert without your consent. So this sentence will reflect the focus of the passage, not the other sentences. These are establishing the point of the paragraph. These are only examples given, right? So here we have C as the answer. Tone. Tone means what? Tone of the passage would mean the attitude of the author towards the topic. Usually it is the feeling or the mood of the author. ये हम बोलते हैं, फीलिंग है, मूड है, एटीट्यूड है, अप्रोच है. तो सोचो उसके दिमाग में क्या थॉट था, क्या फील कर रहा था वो when he was writing that article. So was he very outrageous, was he very angry about it, right? ऐसे वाले क्वेश्चन. So was he very optimistic कि हाँ facial recognition technology ये आगे what all can be achieved. So was he talking about this, that how in future we are going to achieve something very good? No, he was giving us examples to show something else, identify something else. So optimistic will not be the answer. Cynical is like nothing good is going to happen. Right? See, if optimism is good is going to happen, cynical will be nothing good is going to happen. Pessimism is like something bad is going to happen. A slight difference between pessimism and cynicism. ठीक है, तो अगर हम बोलते हैं कि जैसे ऑप्टिमिस्टिक है, बढ़िया, बहुत अच्छा होगा आगे. पेसिमिस्टिक, बेकार होगा. और सिनिकल, अच्छा तो नहीं होगा, पता नहीं क्या होगा. अगर ऐसा थॉट आता है ना हमें कभी, we do not believe in something at the face value, right? We always understand that there is something, some ulterior motive behind somebody's action. That is cynicism. So that will not be the tone of the author. He is not cynical about it, right? Cynical means वो इतना अच्छा हमारे साथ कैसे हो सकता है, वो इतना अच्छा कैसे हो सकता है. मतलब जब हमारे पास थॉट्स ऐसे होते हैं ना, how can this be so good? Right? So we do not believe in the selfless nature of the other person. We do not believe in something being so good. Then we are cynical. That means somebody has an ulterior motive. जब ऐसा थॉट आ जाता है हमारे पास कि वो इतना अच्छा कैसे हो सकता है, इसका मतलब कोई ना कोई तो रीजन होगा उसका इतना अच्छा बिहेव करने का. You will find these such people around you, and you will find that you are faced with such thoughts also. ठीक है, आ जाएंगे दिमाग में, कोई इतना अच्छा कैसा है. तो सिनिसिज्म होता है वो, और ऐसा थॉट प्रोसेस ऑथर का नहीं था. रिफ्लेक्टिव, रिफ्लेक्टिव मीन्स वे इज थिंकिंग अबाउट what is going on in the facial recognition technology, क्या क्या हो सकता है. ठीक है, so he is pondering over it, he is thinking about it, about it. तो इसलिए about word आ जाएगा. रिफ्लेक्टिव का मतलब what will happen, what can happen. So the implications of facial recognition टेक्नोलॉजी, इसके बारे में वो सोच रहा था कि मतलब कहां से क्या हो जाएगा. दैट वे ही वाज रिफ्लेक्टिंग. इनडिफरेंट तो हम नहीं बोल सकते, इनडिफरेंट मतलब डिटैच्ड, एब्सोल्युटली डिवॉइड ऑफ फीलिंग. बट नो, हियर द ऑथर वाज रिफ्लेक्टिंग ऑन इट. उसे रिफ्लेक्ट कहते हैं. डिवॉइड ऑफ फीलिंग तो नहीं आएगा, This is the meaning that I'm giving you of indifferent, right? So we have reflective as the answer. Next. So here it is a basic grease. You can get this. Here also he is thinking about it कि क्या है, कैसे हैं लोग, ऐसा क्यों करते हैं, फोटोज क्यों चाहिए, हम जानना क्यों चाहते हैं लोगों को, उनके नाम मिल जाएंगे तो आगे क्या क्या होगा. मैं all these things is pondering over it, is thinking about it, and therefore it is reflective. So topic, I am reiterating the topic, technology, facial recognition, level of difficulty moderate है. एक्यूरेसी 4/5 होना चाहिए, लेकिन अगर 3/5 भी मिल जाता है तो ठीक है, चलेगा. चलेगा इन द सेंस कि ओके फाइन, बट नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन, नेक्स्ट पैसेज में दैट वाज एन इजियर वन मे बी. फर्स्ट पैसेज अ लिटिल ट्रिकी आंसर, बट 4/5 होते तो बेटर होता. नाउ द सेकेंड बेस्ड ऑन इकोनॉमिक्स, as I said earlier, but it is a short passage. So a short passage, and secondly, it has small paragraphs also. So understand that the author would change paragraphs. Why? Because he has a slight different idea in the paragraph. He cannot combine those two ideas. इसीलिए when we are reading the such passages with small paragraphs, try coming up with a point in every paragraph. What has the author said there? So the theory of moral sentiments, Adam Smith's first book, went into an eclipse, and Smith was seen exclusively as the author of an inquiry into the nature and causes of the wealth of nations. The single word eclipse will give you the main idea that, see, this theory of moral sentiments written by Adam Smith, the people did not pay attention to this, but then he was known for his wealth of nations books. ठीक है, सिर्फ एक eclipse, eclipse का मतलब overshadow कर देना, ऐसा. Now, even though Smith was a pioneering analyst of the need for impartiality and universality in ethics, he has been comprehensively ignored in contemporary ethics and philosophy. He has been ignored. मतलब उसने ignore नहीं किया, उसे ignore किया गया. जबकि he was a pioneering means a first analyst of the need for impartiality and universality in ethics. So ethics तो होना चाहिए यहाँ पे, ठीक है. Since the wealth of nations have been interpreted without reference to moral sentiments, the understanding of the wealth of nations has been constrained. Without reference interpretation किया गया है, right? But then constrained भी है ये, understanding constrained है. इसका मतलब limit, bound, they are not open-minded, तो constrained है. This neglect applies to the appreciation of the demands of rationality, the need for recognizing the plurality of human motivations, the connections between ethics and economics, and the codependent rather than freestanding role of institutions in general and free markets in particular in the functioning of the economy. Right? Codependent rather than the freestanding role. Now, in the Wealth of Nations, he wrote, it is not from the benevolence of the baker that we expect our dinner, but from their regard to their own interest. मतलब ऐसा नहीं है कि हमें अगर ब्रेड लेनी है या हमें अगर कुछ मिलता है, हमें अगर कोई वेजिटेबल या फ्रूट मिलता है तो इट इज बिकॉज ऑफ द बेनिवोलेंस ऑफ द पीपल. द बेनिवोलेंस ऑफ द बेकर उसने एग्जांपल लिया, नहीं, it is not because of that, but he says that it is because of they regard their own interest higher. उन्हें भी पैसा चाहिए, इसीलिए वो ब्रेड बेच रहे हैं, हमें ब्रेड खरीदनी क्योंकि हमें कुछ खाना है, राइट? सो वी एड्रेस आवरसेल्व्स not to their humanity but to their self love. Here the discussion is addressed only to one very specific issue, namely exchange rather than distribution of production, and in particular the motivation underlying exchange. Why are the people exchanging goods, exchanging services? Why? Both of them need it. So Smith argued against false diagnosis of the terrible commissions of the market economy, and yet nowhere did he deny that the market economy yields important omissions. He rejected the market excluding interventions, but not markets including interventions aimed at doing those important things that the market may leave undone. तो markets including interventions होंगे और रिजेक्ट किया क्या? मार्केट एक्सक्लूडिंग इंटरवेंशंस. अब बस जितना ही समझना है, क्योंकि जैसे तुमने कहा नहीं, बट जैसे मैंने कहा कि मोस्ट ऑफ यू फील एन एवर्जन फॉर इकोनॉमिक्स, तो दिस पैराग्राफ, इवन दिस पैसेज, इवन इफ स्मॉल वन, बट a few of you would be leaving it for the end. Possible है. So he was concerned about the inequality and poverty that might remain in an otherwise successful market economy. Inequality and poverty successful economy में रह सकती है. The global reach of Smith's moral and political reasoning is strongly supplemented by his belief that all human beings are born with similar potential and that the inequalities in the world reflect socially generated rather than natural disparities. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि inequality मतलब that person is not good and this person of the higher class is very good. नहीं, जो रिच है वो बहुत अच्छे हैं, जो पुअर है वो अच्छे नहीं है, उनमें कोई पोटेंशियल नहीं है, ऐसा नहीं होता है. उसने कहा कि ऑलमोस्ट ऑल आर बॉर्न विद सिमिलर पोटेंशियल, दे कैन डू इट. सो देन व्हाट इज मिसिंग देयर इज समथिंग दैट इज सोशली generated. It is not a natural disparity. Disparity means an inequality. So it is not a natural one कि जन्म से ही उनका मतलब कुछ ना कुछ प्रॉब्लम है. नहीं, वो सोशल इंटरेक्शन, सोशली जनरेटेड रीजंस हो सकते हैं डिस्पैरिटी के. दैट वाज व्हाट ही सेड. So if you read this, when you're taking the test, I think so a few of you might not have been able to come to the major point, but at least what we have underlined, वो underline कर लेते हैं. When we do the questions, we can come back to the passage. So the neglect applies to the appreciation of the demands of rationality, the need for recognizing the plurality of human motivations, the connections between ethics and economics, and the codependent rather than freestanding role of institutions. ये पूरा का पूरा paragraph passage का ही है. So which of the following Latin phrases can replace the phrase in bold to the excerpt from the passage above? So plurality of human emotions, motivations कर सकते हैं. तो it will not be ad infinitum. हमें अगर meaning नहीं भी आता है, but at least we can relate it to the word infinity. तो ये तो नहीं आएगा, right? Inter alia में we get the word inter. Inter means between. ठीक है, we have done this in the root words, in the prefixes, suffixes also we do it. So inter का मतलब होगा between. तो inter alia means the connection between multiple things, you can say. तो वो plurality of human motivations आ जाएगा कि ये क्या क्या, they are all interconnected. Idest is that is an exemplar gratia is जो हमने पिछले एग्जाम्पल किया था कि पिछले पैसेज में that so many examples, that is exemplar gratia. Here we have the answer inter alia, as I said earlier. This was a paragraph talking about the plurality, talking about the connections. Seventh, Adam Smith is often derided for overemphasis on selfishness and self-love, because of which of the following? Derided is mocked. For overemphasis on selfishness and self-love, हमने वो example of the baker क्या था ना कि वो bread क्यों sell करेगा? Because he needs the money also. And why do we buy it? Because we need bread to eat. In that way. So he is often mocked for overemphasis on selfishness and self-love, because of which of the following? Because he saw selfishness as the root. और उसे selfishness नहीं कहा था. If not the only cause of all our activities, तो all करके हम out कर सकते हैं इसे. Wealth of the Nations is read independently of Smith's subsequent works. Subsequent नहीं था, इसके पहले वाला work था moral sentiments. What he said in one context is relevant in other contexts also. Fine. But then they were not understanding that the other context also, no, तो यही problem था. They were interpreted, read and interpreted out of context. क्योंकि इसके कोच को ध्यान से नहीं पढ़ा जा रहा था, एग्जैक्ट कंटेक्चुअल मीनिंग नहीं समझ में आ रही थी उसे, लोगों को, राइट? सो दे वर नॉट रेड, दे हैव बीन इंटरप्रेटेड विदाउट रेफरेंस टू द moral sentiments, and moral sentiments was the first book of Adam Smith. So subsequent नहीं आएगा उसमें, वो कैंसिल हो जाते हैं ऑप्शंस. Eighth question. The author bemoans the neglect of moral sentiments because it has led to all of the following in the study of economics except. ठीक है, तो लोगों ने moral sentiments वाली बुक को रिफर नहीं किया. ठीक, so it led to everything except. So treating institutions as if they operate independently of each other, ये था. ठीक है. Smith neglected ethics and philosophy, although other philosophers borrowed generously, but then they were neglecting it. So, this is incorrect. Now, if this is incorrect, and we are very sure of it, because we just read that they did not read moral sentiments. Eclipse word आ गया था first paragraph में. ठीक है? So now, when in a test, when you come to this and you are very sure that this is the answer, so do not waste time in reading the next two options because unnecessary you confuse yourself. हमें उसका भी ध्यान रखना है, राइट? तो सिर्फ स्पीड की बात नहीं है, एक्यूरेसी की भी बात होती है, but then if you are very sure, then mark it and move. Excessive emphasis on reason and neglect of all other incentives, देखो इसके हिसाब से भी आउट हो जाते हैं. Neglect of the role of ethics in economic activities, ये तो था, मतलब ये सारी चीजें थी, या तो है या तो irrelevant है, पर जो नहीं है, that was what we had to mark, and that is B as the answer. Right? So I hope you have marked the correct answer. अगर क्वेश्चन ध्यान से समझेंगे, बिकॉज व्हाट हैपेंस इज मेनी ऑफ यू एक्चुअली मिस द वर्ड्स, स्किप द वर्ड्स. ठीक है? या तो हम इतनी जल्दी पढ़ लेते हैं क्वेश्चन, तो जल्दी क्वेश्चन पढ़ना नहीं है, हमें क्वेश्चन पढ़ के समझना होता है. बिकॉज इफ यू हैव नॉट अंडरस्टूड द क्वेश्चन, यू वोंट बी एबल टू कम टू द राइट आंसर. Smith's vision that is remarkably contemporary is which of the following? So lack of education and the unimaginative nature of work led to neglect of talent among the economically underprivileged. Did he talk about the neglect of talent there? Lack of education. Okay. Unregulated market keeps a greater part of the capital from the hands of those who's most likely to make profitable and advantageous use of it. And class division reflects inequality of opportunity rather than indicating difference of inborn talents and inabilities. ये दिया था author ने. And we may have a special obligation to our neighbors, but the reach of our concern must transcend that confinement. Transcend means to go beyond. ठीक है? Obligation होना चाहिए. We may have, हो भी सकता है. ठीक है? But then that is incorrect, and we have a better answer, that is C. यहाँ पे अनरेगुलेटेड मार्केट नहीं, रेगुलेटेड मार्केट की बात कर रहा था. निग्लेक्ट ऑफ टैलेंट अमंग द इकोनॉमिकली अंडर प्रिविलेज, मतलब हम टैलेंट को निग्लेक्ट करते हैं, जबकि ऑथर ने कहा था कि देखो टैलेंट हो सकता है सबके पास बराबर, पोटेंशियल है. सो सी वुड बी अ बेटर आंसर देन दी अदर्स. गिवन वेरी क्लियरली इन द लास्ट पैराग्राफ. निग्लेक्ट जो था वो टैलेंट वाला नहीं था, डिमांड्स ऑफ रैशनैलिटी एंड रिकॉग्नाइजिंग द प्लूरैलिटी वाला था. What can be inferred about Adam Smith's views on the market economy and interventions? What can be inferred about his views on the market economy? हम क्या समझ सकते हैं? So Smith believed in the importance of market economy. ये यहाँ तक सही है. Acknowledged, but भी सही था. Acknowledged its limitations and the need for interventions to address certain social issues. राइट, ही नीडेड इंटरवेंशंस. अब हम उस सेंटेंस पे जाएंगे जहां पे इंटरवेंशन है या नहीं है, उसे आइडेंटिफाई करने के लिए. तो पॉसिबल है ये सही होगा आंसर. स्मिथ रिजेक्टेड द मार्केट इकोनॉमी एंड एडवोकेटेड फॉर एक्सटेंसिव इंटरवेंशंस. एक्सटेंसिव इंटरवेंशंस आल्सो वी नीड टू चेक. तो जहां तक हमें याद है, एक्सटेंसिव इंटरवेंशंस उसे नहीं कहा था. स्मिथ आर्ग्यूड अगेंस्ट एनी इंटरवेंशंस नहीं, उसका एक इंक्लूडिंग था, एक एक्सक्लूडिंग वाला था इंटरवेंशंस. This much was very clear when we were reading. So C is out. And Smith emphasized the significance of market economy without recognizing, but then he recognized its limitations, the social and the economic ones. So C and D are out. We'll go back to the passage to identify the answer from A and B, and A will be a better answer here. So let us see from where we get it. Yeah, because he rejected the market economy, actually यहाँ से भी वो गलत हो जाता है. ठीक है? तो एनी इंटरवेंशंस भी गलत हो जाता है, विदाउट रिकॉग्नाइजिंग गलत हो जाता है. तो वी हैव ए एज द आंसर, एंड हियर इट इज. ओमिशन से कहा था, रिजेक्ट क्या था? मार्केट एक्सक्लूडिंग इंटरवेंशंस बट नॉट मार्केट्स इंक्लूडिंग इंटरवेंशन. सो वो तो करना जरूरी था. So economics, ethics and market, and as I said, though it was moderate to high कर सकते हैं हम इसको, और high इसलिए because most of you do not read economics. That is why it was a difficult one. Accuracy 3 on 5 is a decent one here. And this was a short passage, but because of the topic, most of you might have kept it for the end. और keeping this for the end means बाकी के 4 पैसेजेस तुम्हें बहुत जल्दी कर लेने चाहिए थे. जल्दी इन द सेंस कि उसमें एक्यूरेसी ज्यादा होती. इसको अगर आपने एंड में रखा है तो इसमें से 2 और 3 कर लेते, and if you did 3 questions you could have got 2 correct. तो भी चल जाता, provided you did all 5 questions in the rest of the 4. So that would make 20, 20 and 3, 23 questions. So अगर 23 questions कर लेते and you're getting 1 incorrect here and 1 in each, so 4 and 1, 5 incorrect. 5 incorrect would make it 18, right? And minus 1.25 will make it 16.75. So still you can get anywhere a decent score between 16 or more than 16, you can say. Come on, the third passage now. Again, small paragraphs. So responding to a exclusion, of Ahmadis, Shias, Bahis, Hazras, Jews, ऐसे words को pronounce भी नहीं करना है when you're reading. In a test, you can only see the capital letters, that means proper nouns. If they are proper nouns, do not read them, do not pronounce them. Directly come to the exclusion word and of communities. यहाँ तक आ जाओ. From the classification the government submitted, intra-religious persecutions cannot be equated with the persecution of religious minorities practicing a different and completely distinct religion than the majority religion in particular neighboring countries. ठीक है, इसने 2 बातें कर ली. एक नेबरिंग कंट्रीज की बात की, आपके नेबर्स की. ठीक है, दूसरा उसने इंट्रा रिलीजन की बात की, मतलब एक ही रिलीजन के अंदर क्लासिफिकेशन हो रहा है या एक रिलीजन और कंप्लीटली डिफरेंट रिलीजन के बीच में हो रहा है. ठीक है, तो इंटर रिलीजन हो सकता है, इंट्रा रिलीजन हो सकता है, रिलीजन फ्रॉम वन टू द अदर कंट्री ये भी हो सकता है, राइट? So on exclusion of the Rohingya community in Myanmar, the Tamil community in Sri Lanka and the Buddhist community in Tibet, the counter affidavit said, what did it say? Classification of particular neighboring countries is directly relatable to the foreign policy of nation and cannot be questioned on the ground of under-inclusiveness. The CA is not meant to be an omnibus solution to issues across the world, and the Indian Parliament cannot be expected to take note of possible persecutions that may be taking place across various countries in the world. So Indian Parliament cannot be expected to take note of everything. मतलब इंडिया सबका सब नेबरिंग कंट्रीज में जो जो प्रॉब्लम है रिलीजन को लेके, रिलीजियस परसिक्यूशन को लेके, तो हम नहीं कर सकते हैं इसका काम ना. व्हाई वुड वी बी देयर taking responsibility of all those things going on in the neighboring countries? So the recognition of religious persecution in the particular neighboring states which have a specific state religion and long history of religious persecution of minorities is actually a reinstatement of Indian ideals of secularism, equality, and fraternity. The center claimed that preparation of a national register of citizens is a necessary exercise for any sovereign country for mere identification of citizens from non-citizens. Simple सी बात है, citizens कौन है, non-citizens कौन है, ये identify करना है तो CA कर दिया. On the violation of international covenants that may encompass such rights, the center said the standard for judicial review of legislation in India is the Constitution and not on the basis of international conventions. Covenants means agreements, deals, pacts. After the amendment of the Citizenship Act 1955 in 1986, for those born on or after July 1, 1987, the law set out a precondition to obtain citizenship, that one of the parents must be an Indian citizen. In 2003, after further amendment, those born after December 3, 2004 needed one parent as an Indian citizen and the other not an illegal immigrant, मतलब legal immigrant होना चाहिए. ठीक है, two negatives taken together become positive. This we have done many times in critical reasoning also. Maths का तो होता ही है ये. Now, what is the Indian government's reasoning for the exclusion of all these people, all these communities? Reason: India is unconcerned whether majoritarian religion commits atrocities. Unconcerned about atrocities? अभी हमने इतना नहीं पढ़ा था कुछ. रीजन चाहिए हमें, उसका रीजनिंग चाहिए कि इन लोगों को एक्सक्लूड क्यों किया गया है. Okay? So inter-religious persecution cannot be compared to the atrocities done within the same religion. उसने कहा था इंटर रिलीजन अलग होता है, इंट्रा रिलीजन अलग होता है. ठीक है. So that was the reason here for the exclusion of all these people, communities, you can say. India will intervene, ये eliminate हो जाता है. India is unconcerned, ये eliminate हो जाता है. B हमारा आंसर आ जाएगा. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन देखते हैं. फर्स्ट पैराग्राफ में ही था इसे, you had to read it carefully again. Which of the following statements did the counter affidavit make on the exclusion of the Rohingya minority? Right? What did it make? So CA does not have an authority, intent or desire to interfere. उसने ऐसा कहा था. It does not have the authority, it doesn't intend to do it, or it does not have the desire to interfere in the internal affairs. Authority होगी पर वो करेगा नहीं, possible है. Foreign soil, the idea of inclusion does not apply. अप्लाई ही नहीं होता है तो इंडिया क्या करेगी? ये रीजन दिया था. वी नीड टू गो बैक टू दैट पैराग्राफ एंड रीड इट. सो अदर कंट्रीज फॉरेन पॉलिसीज अफेक्ट द अबव कम्युनिटीज. इंडिया कैनॉट बी एक्सपेक्टेड टू स्पीक आउट अगेंस्ट एवरी परसिक्यूशन दैट अकर्स अराउंड द वर्ल्ड. दिस वाज व्हाट ही सेड. एंड इट इज सोलली एप्लीकेबल टू इंडियन सिटीजन्स, ये भी नहीं था. सो वी हैव सी एज एन आंसर. गोइंग बैक टू द पैराग्राफ, right, what the counter affidavit said. So we know these are the places where we need to read so that the idea again becomes clear in our mind and we come to the right answer. Why CA required according to the center? क्यों चाहिए? To keep track of citizens on a national level. ठीक है, citizens और non citizens के उसने एक sentence दिया था. To preserve secularist, egalitarian and fraternal ideas. Fine. Illegal immigrants must be identified and prosecuted. ये भी सही है. तो all of the above हमारे पास आंसर है. Illegal होगा तो पनिशमेंट तो मिलेगी ना. Illegal क्यों? Legal immigrants उसने कहा था ठीक है. So we have it here. Given this can be considered as a direct question. Now, direct question doesn't mean that you need to remember everything and then mark the answer. No. Direct question means you know that this is there in the paragraph. Either it is a fact or very clearly stated. You need to go back to that part of the paragraph and read it again so that you come to the right answer. क्योंकि ऐसे direct questions होते हैं तो probability of you coming to the right answer is a higher one. ठीक है, तो इसे सोच समझ के मतलब हमें याद नहीं करना है कुछ भी. मोस्ट ऑफ यू व्हाट यू डू इज व्हेन यू आर रीडिंग द पैसेज तुम्हारे दिमाग में चलता था ये दिया था ये दिया था. एंड अ फ्यू ऑफ यू और रादर मोस्ट ऑफ यू, यही प्रॉब्लम होगी कि हम आगे जैसे पैसेज पढ़ते जाते हैं वैसे फर्स्ट पैराग्राफ में क्या दिया था हम भूल जाते हैं. ये ऐसा होता है. बट अगेन द पॉइंट इज कि फर्स्ट पैराग्राफ में जो दिया है आप उसका मतलब दिमाग में when you're reading you should pick up the point of that paragraph. That is what we do. Pick out the point of every paragraph. You will be able to catch the logical flow. That is what is to be done. Catch the logical flow of idea. अगर ये समझ में आते जाएगा तो तुम्हें पता है ये 4 पैराग्राफ्स हैं तो हर पैराग्राफ से आइडिया कैसे कहाँ किस डायरेक्शन में जाती है वो समझ में आ जाएगी. ठीक है. Chalo, which of the following was the center's response to the violation of international covenants? Covenants, as I said earlier, pacts. So, center's response to the violation of this. India would abide by international law to a certain extent. India will not obey international laws if they contradict India's constitution. Would abide to a certain extent. Or according to the Indian constitution, India will do what is right. इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के हिसाब से जो सही है वो करेगी. India has no moral obligation, ये तो उसने नहीं कहा था. Reading these two paragraphs, you will get the idea that India is going to do review of legislation is the constitution and not on the basis of the international convention. So उसके हिसाब से नहीं करेगी. तो would abide partially कुछ भी नहीं था. इंडिया को जो सही लगेगा वो करेगी. That was the point. Which of the following people would be able to become citizens of India? Now, becoming citizens of India का जो date wise जो दिया था, that was in the last two paragraphs. So you come back to the last two paragraphs and read it again and then match it according to the options. सोच समझ के ये करना चाहिए था, मतलब थोड़ा सा टाइम देकर. तो this would take you, say in the test, this should have taken you not more than half a minute. But even if it takes 40 seconds, ठीक है, बढ़िया, बिल्कुल कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, क्योंकि ये सही जाना चाहिए आंसर. क्लियर. अगेन डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन था, थोड़ा सा टाइम लगता है, बट देन आंसर सही जाने के चांसेस ज्यादा होते हैं. इस बात का हमेशा ध्यान रखना. कोई जल्दी में क्वेश्चन नहीं पढ़ना है, कोई जल्दी में हमें ऐसा आंसर मार्क नहीं करना है जो कि अपने दिमाग के हिसाब से हो. बस मुझे याद है ऐसा था. पैसेज में देख लो. It will take you, cost you 5 to 10 seconds, but you will get a right answer because 1.25 marks are at stake. एक मार्क जो तुम्हें मिल सकता था, 0.25 जो तुम बचा सकते थे. ठीक है. तो अगर इतने मार्क्स अपनी स्टेट पे हैं, इसका मतलब थोड़ा सा ध्यान से करेंगे. इंडियन सिटीजन एज वन ऑफ द पेरेंट्स चाहिए था. लीगल इमिग्रेंट मदर है, लेकिन इलीगल इमिग्रेशन फादर है, गलत हो जाएगा. ठीक है. चाइल्ड बॉर्न इन टू पेरेंट्स वन ऑफ हुम इज एन इलीगल इमिग्रेंट, ये तो कहीं पे भी नहीं है. तो इलीगल वाला तो चाहिए ही नहीं था, लीगल इमिग्रेंट हो सकता है. The last two paragraphs were to be read again, given there. So, 4 to 5 हो सकते थे क्योंकि direct questions थे. You could have done it well. So, I won't even give this a leniency of 3/5 अच्छा होगा. नहीं. ये passage, you could have read it carefully. Very direct questions were there. बस. So, 4/5 तो होना ही चाहिए था. अगर 3/5 आया है या 3/4 होता है तो भी चलो ठीक है. 3/4 questions भी सही हो जा. Right? Coming to the fourth passage now. Announcement on the proposed National Commission for Higher Education and Research, that is NCHER, bill to scrap the concept of, scrap matlab totally, hata dena, of deemed universities should be made applicable only to new institutions that aspire for the status. To apply the bill to the existing universities will mean hijacking a sound concept that has supported the growth of the higher education system. यहाँ पे एक warning जैसा दे रहा है. अगर हमने जो existing universities में ये bill apply किया तो problem हो जाएगी. क्यों? क्योंकि ये एक sound concept था which supported the growth of the higher education system. To eliminate a time-tested policy without diagnosing the reason for its sickness will be counterproductive to the main objective of achieving qualitative growth in higher education. Going backwards, higher education का एक objective था that we need to reach, and for that we are eliminating that concept of deemed universities, which were, according to the author, helpful in reaching the higher education goal there. ठीक है. तो वो ऐसे एक ironical situation जैसा हो रहा है यहाँ पर कि deemed universities, that is I am talking about DU, suppose Delhi University नहीं, deemed university, deemed universities की वजह से यहाँ पर higher education की growth हुआ. Right, higher education was achieved there. Good. Now we need a quality higher education and we are eliminating the concept of deemed universities. Right? So now see what we are doing. जिसकी वजह से हायर एजुकेशन में ग्रोथ हुआ था उसी को हम हटा रहे हैं. This is what the author is saying, that would be counterproductive. If you have understood the point from the first paragraph, rest of the passage would be easy. The Radhakrishnan Commission said the government should consider a method of creating university charters where universities are set up not through acts of legislature but through charters granted by the head of the state. It was in the best interest of higher education that the Commission encouraged the creation of deemed universities. राइट, इट वाज द बेस्ट इंटरेस्ट, इट वाज। ठीक है, तो अभी भी इस बात की बात कर रहा है कि तब वो डीम्ड यूनिवर्सिटीज का कॉन्सेप्ट क्यों बना था। Between 1956 and 2004 and between 2004 and 2009, 92 and 36 institutions were granted the deemed university status respectively. Now the virus that spread, virus, everybody is accustomed to this word virus in the last 3 years. So that spread during 2004 and 9 was in the manner the status was conferred, ignoring the conceptual purpose of deemed universities and the relevant provisions in the statutory bodies. ठीक है, underlining in the hard copy you could have underlined this, right? That means this was important कि किस तरीके से किस यूनिवर्सिटी को डीम्ड बोला गया या डीम्ड यूनिवर्सिटी का टाइटल दिया गया, that was problem and that was the virus. The manner this status was conferred, why, what happened, it ignored the conceptual purpose. तो जो बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट था ड्रीम्ड यूनिवर्सिटी का उसे ही इग्नोर किया जा रहा था, कब, 2004-2009 के बीच में. Now, off-campus centers and sister institutions run by a parent-deemed university were brought within its ambit. पेरेंट डीम्ड मतलब डीम्ड यूनिवर्सिटी का एक टाइटल मिला जैसे किसी यूनिवर्सिटी को, उसके सब्सिडरी उसके जो साथ में थे सिस्टर यूनिवर्सिटीज जो थी, इंस्टीट्यूशन जो थे, वो भी डीम्ड यूनिवर्सिटी का टाइटल उन्हें मिल गया. तो दैट वाज नॉट करेक्ट. It was run by a parent deemed university were brought within its ambit a case of backdoor entry. ये problem हो रहा था, backdoor entries हो रही थी. It is undeniable that the ad hoc, arbitrary and non-transparent process between 4 and 9 has damaged the system. This is the right time to set right these anomalies and ensure that the deemed university system is put on the right track. But removing the very concept of deemed university envisaged in the proposed bill will only perpetuate inefficiencies. Now you can see that in these 3-4 paragraphs, the author has twice or thrice or 4 times, he has said that, see, this removing the concept of deemed universities will be harmful or counterproductive to the education system. It will perpetuate inefficiencies. The proposed bill will only put the system back in a closely regulated and regimental framework with little scope for innovation. रेजिमेंटल का मतलब होता है मिलिट्री जैसा, अरे बिल्कुल ऐसा एक एक की नजर में, मतलब एक जैसे अथॉरिटेटिव ऑटोक्रेटिक हो जाएगा वो. इससे इनोवेशन सफर करेगा, एकेडमिक इंडिपेंडेंस नहीं मिलेगी. Misuse and abuse of power by some government and private participants has already rattled the boat. तो ये सब होना शुरू हो जाएगा, जो कि हो भी गया है. सो ध्यान से पढ़ेंगे तो it would be a good one. So find the statement that is correct according to the passage. It will be counterproductive to achieve the qualitative progress. यहाँ तक सही है, counterproductive सही है. And without ascertaining the root causes of inefficiencies therein. ठीक है कि उसमें efficiencies भी तो थी. Now the bill is made applicable to no, it is not been applicable, it was suggested. Removing the concept as proposed will only serve to perpetuate inefficiencies. हमेशा नहीं आएगा, not necessary always. My complaint to the method in which a presumed was granted appears to be valid. It appears to be valid, हो सकता है, पर ये author की ही बात है बस. Correct statement चाहिए हमें, that statement will be A. 17th question. We get this from the first paragraph only, answer उसका. Which of the following best describes the author's goal in using the term the virus? हमें पता है virus वाला paragraph कहाँ पर है? So it reflects the Constitution's indiscriminate application of the article. Although the objective of becoming a recognized university is laudable, it is not the same as the goal of excellence. When you employ this act, you are actually doing the reverse of what it is supposed to do. The reverse बहुत वो हो जाएगा, strong word हो जाएगा. So we will remove this. Using the charters issued by the state's chief executive had resulted in an unrestrained explosion of such. तभी उसे virus कहा था, explosion. ठीक है, we get it in that paragraph here. Right? The data is given here and the point is stated here. So we get D as the answer. Find the assertion in the passage that is false. But the three sentences you'll find that are correct according to the passage, and the fourth one would be fault. So is it impossible to establish? यहीं से हमें आंसर आ जाता है no, it was possible to establish that the education system was harmed by the haphazard, arbitrary and opaque procedure that took place between 2004 and 9. ये सही है, and so we do not need to read the rest of the three also, and we can easily come up with A as the answer. When in the test, अब आसानी से ये मार्क करके आगे बढ़ सकते थे. Would be a ruin को हम आउट कर देंगे. Misuse and abuse of power, status quo has been disturbed. Status quo नहीं था, ठीक है. So it is like using a few words but in a different frame of sentence. Detrimental, proposed bill is detrimental, जरूरी नहीं है, मतलब सही है, ठीक है. ये गलत है, this cannot be the answer. That is what I was giving you. Would be to ruin a sound notion. So we needed something that is false, and all these things, three will not be the answers because some way or the other they are mentioned there in the passage to be true. Here it is. Coming to the 19th question, which of the following is the most likely title of a longer article where the excerpt appeared? Okay, but this is taken from यूनिवर्सिटी पेपर यू कैन से. तो उस पेपर का टाइटल क्या होगा, उस आर्टिकल का टाइटल क्या हो सकता है. सो एजुकेशन पॉलिसी अ मर्जर ऑफ थिंकिंग स्टाइल्स. हु डिजर्व्स क्रेडिट, आर वी टॉकिंग अबाउट द क्रेडिट. और डीम्ड यूनिवर्सिटी एक्ट, अ स्ट्रगल फॉर एग्जिस्टेंस, ये हो सकता है. वेरी क्लियर, बट द बैलेंसिंग एक्ट नहीं है. राइट, इट वाज द एक्ट फॉर द डीम्ड यूनिवर्सिटी. So the way how to come to the title would be very easy. We usually get confused in a title based question. करना क्या होता है, हमें एक mental essay लिखना होता है. So would we include all that is given in the passage? I have given this trick to in many previous analysis also, right? So start writing that and you'll be able to eliminate. So here it is. Which of the following best describes the author's attitude towards the problem? ठीक है, जैसे हमने किया था टोन कैसा था. ठीक है, in the previous question there was one, no, not in the previous passage there was the tone. So tone means the feeling or the approach or the attitude of the author. Now, is he pre-possessed about something, कि पहले से उसे मान लिया है, सोच लिया है. Or pejorative, that means what he says is like very much full of criticism. ठीक है. Cogent is like convincing, cogent arguments होते हैं. और exponential, exponential का मतलब क्या होता है? Exponential rise in the prices, right? मैथ्स करते करते तुम्हें एक्सपोनेंशियल टर्म आ जाना चाहिए. धीरे 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 जो चीजें बढ़ जाती हैं वो एक्सपोनेंशियल होता है. तो उसे स्टार्ट किया अपने एक मतलब what his feeling was about this topic. So he started with the act or about with the bill that was there and of the education system. और उसके बाद उसने धीरे धीरे करके वो कहाँ और कैसे अफेक्ट करेगा चीजों को, और the universities, what will happen to the education system, how it will get hampered and all. So he started going in the same direction and increasingly warning that, see, this concept, or if you remove this concept of deemed university, this is going to be harmful. ठीक है, तो फर्स्ट पैराग्राफ से लास्ट पैराग्राफ तक वो इसी की बात कर रहा था कि डीम्ड यूनिवर्सिटी का कॉन्सेप्ट ऐसे बिल के थ्रू नहीं हटाना चाहिए, बिकॉज इट वाज द डीम्ड यूनिवर्सिटी दैट एक्चुअली मेड द एजुकेशन सिस्टम और हायर एजुकेशन सिस्टम grow. The higher education system was growing or became better because of those deemed universities. और नहीं, अगर ये कॉन्सेप्ट हट जाएगा तो इनोवेशन कंस्ट्रेंड हो जाएगी. सो ही वॉज वेरी मच कंसर्न अबाउट एवरीथिंग, एंड दैट कंसर्न वॉज ग्रोइंग. सिर्फ इसी रीजन से एक्सपोनेंशियल हमारा आंसर बन जाता है, राइट? It was there in the complete passage, and therefore 4 upon 5 you could have got. 3 upon 5 would be okay, average वाला satisfactory वाला स्कोर होता है. और अगर तुमने इसमें से कोई आंसर मिस किया है तो 3 upon 4 हो जाता है, या 4 upon 4 भी मिल जाते हैं, तो दैट इज द बेस्ट वन. Coming to the last passage. So we know the world is eating too much meat, and we know that we as individuals have to do something about it. So I was one of the record 250,000 people who signed up to Veganuary this year. I haven't actually eaten meat for 30 years, fine, although I occasionally ate fish and felt bad about it. 2 years ago, I visited a modern British dairy farm where the cows are kept in very clean conditions indoors all year round. I hated it. So I switched to oat milk, and last year gave up eating cheese. But there's still plenty of animal products in cakes and biscuits, and so until 1 January, I wasn't vegan. अंडरस्टैंड द स्टाइल ऑफ द ऑथर. वहां पे वो जैसे अपनी कहानी बता रहा है, बस अभी यहां तक वो सेल्फ वाली बात कर रहा था, आई वाली बात कर रहा था, बस. Why I am looking forward to my first vegan Christmas? I've learned a lot over the last month. Years ago, I was accidentally given a vegan meal on an aircraft and it was terrible. कई साल पहले की बात कर रहा है. It was terrible, but I found it a complete untruth. That vegan food is tasteless. ये नहीं है, गलत बात है. मतलब I've discovered so many new flavors, some foods, vegan pies, tofu sausages, some fantastic chocolate. Vegan cheese might not satisfy a cheese connoisseur, but it's fine for a decent cheese sandwich. I've also learned that our food labeling is extremely poor. Some foods labeled vegetarian are actually vegan, and many vegan foods are not labeled at all. So without Google, I would have been hopelessly lost. I'd check a brand and find the answer on a website somewhere. Perhaps a third of biscuits are vegan. Itne sare biscuits, but you wouldn't know it. Original hobnobs are vegan, but some digestives aren't. So manufacturers are missing a trick. वो उनको उनके ingredients पे मतलब वो बना देना चाहिए कि ये vegan है. So our snack food outlets, they are missing on the trick. The likes of Pret, Costa, and Eat all have vegan food, but try finding it when rushing through a crowded station cafe. One of the triumphs of veganuary is that I repeatedly tried to buy a Greg's vegan sausage roll and failed every time. While I was working in Bristol, I ranked 6 branches of Greg's and all of them had sold out. There's a huge appetite for vegan food. Ye hua established. And restaurants and pubs are getting the message. I was surprised by how many are suddenly offering vegan menus. In veganuary, at least. Chasing the vegan pound is increasingly smart business. Which brings me to farmers. Right? Will our changing diets put farmers out of business? The downside of my veganuary was that I received a vicious backlash on social media and from some meat producers. Several farmers made good critical points about me eating processed vegan food that has been flown around the world. I bought vegan food wrapped in plastic. Some vegan food is industrially farmed. Some vegan food contains palm oil. If you want to eat ethically, it takes a lot of research. Started with I, right? Moved to flavors, right? Then to the retail outlets, और not only outlets भी लिख सकते हो, ठीक है? तो outlets की बात उसने की, and then he is talking about the media, right? And then he is coming to the farmers. Ethical, यहाँ पे बीच में हम ethical की भी बात कर लेंगे. So ethical, environmentally friendly eating is far more complex issue than just becoming vegan. Here comes the author's point. If Britain switched instantaneously to a plant-based diet and we ripped out all the pastures and flower-rich meadows and hedgerows and planted maize and sprayed crops with chemicals, it would be an ecological disaster. But we've got to help farmers move towards higher animal welfare and environmental standards. Put simply, we have to create a distinction between good and bad farmers. During veganuary, I was contacted by some farmers who are producing higher quality, less intensively reared high welfare meat to sell at a premium. I visited one organic farmer friend. He fears that meat eaters will forsake his produce for industrially farmed meat from supermarkets and that good farmers will go out of business. The labels on meat and dairy products. Now, when you are reading in a test, ये सब पढ़ना इतना पढ़ना जरूरी नहीं था. You could have read with your eyes. तुम्हें पता है यहाँ पे farmers की बात हुई है. That is why I'm writing the pointers here. So I'm not suggesting that we all go vegan overnight. Lots of people on social media told me they would go vegan 3 or 4 days a week. That for me is what veganuary was all about. Meat martyrs we want. The vegans will inherit the earth. Right? इसका मतलब अब उसकी कितने लोग कब when and how many days vegan vegan तो आप कभी भी हो सकते हो मतलब जरूरी थोड़ी कि बिल्कुल एक ओथ ले लिया कि अब के बाद हम vegan ही खाएंगे बस you can practice it a few days in a week उसे बोला but because I haven't declared all livestock farmers are evil and because I'm not perfect I also receive vitriol from ultra vegans जो बहुत एकदम स्ट्रिक्ट परफेक्ट वीगन्स है उन लोगों ने भी रिसीव विट्रॉल मतलब criticism. I was called a cow rapist. People told me I can't be vegan and have my dog. Scratchy. So the intolerance of ultra vegans is so off-putting. मतलब कैसे लोग हैं ठीक है vegan है हमें जब खाना है तब हम खाएंगे. You are never going to win an argument by insulting and belittling people. A small minority make a lot of nasty noise. 3 days into February, I haven't eaten anything non-vegan yet. ठीक है 1st January से उसने कहा था Until 1 January I wasn't vegan उसने दिया था डेट मतलब अभी February हो गया उसे कुछ नॉन वीगन खाया नहीं है I am staying vegan but I'm not listening to the ultras and I'll draw my own lines on the sand. Drawing your own lines मतलब I'll do what I want to do. I'm not about to burn my leather belts and shoes. To do so would be a waste of resources and just leads to the thing we're trying to avoid. ठीक है मतलब अभी हमने सपोज दिसंबर में उसने शूज खरीदे होंगे लेदर शूज बेस्ट वंस लेदर जैकेट लेदर वॉलेट सब खरीदा तो बिकॉज 1st January से वो वीगन बन गए या उन्होंने सोचा कि ठीक है आई टर्न टू इनटू अ वीगन इज ही गोइंग टू डिस्ट्रॉय ऑल दोस थिंग्स दैट ही हैज जस्ट बॉट इन December? No. He says that will be a waste of resources, not a use. We are trying to avoid and more consumption. But when my leather shoes wear out, I'll seek a vegan alternative. And I'm definitely going to continue devouring tofu sausages, vegan pies, and that amazing chocolate. तब तक खाता रहूंगा जब तक बेल्ट चल रही है चलेगी जब तक शूज चलते चलेंगे नेक्स्ट वन आई एम गोइंग टू बाय आई विल बाय अ वीगन वन सो द पैसेज वाज नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट solely food. No, the passage was not talking about solely being a vegan. No, passage had a few things, few pointers underlying there in the passage, right? So he was talking about his own experience. So वो background building हो जाता है. Flavors उसने कहा कि देखो vegan होना boring नहीं है. It has some interesting flavors, interesting things to eat also. So he talked about that. So it is not that you will find that vegan is like tasteless or bland or boring. वो नहीं होगा ठीक है सो यू कैन फाइंड गुड फ्लेवर्स तो अगर शिफ्ट करना चाहते हो तो हो सकते हैं ठीक है रिटेल आउटलेट्स जो है वो भी वीगन सेल करते हैं सो दैट इज मेकिंग अ गुड बिजनेस फॉर देम नाउ व्हाई बिकॉज द पीपल आर शिफ्टिंग टू द वीगन्स the media he talked about a little about the media he talked a little about the ethics there also then he turned to the farmers की बात करके उसने दो चीजें की थी गुड फार्मर्स और बैड फार्मर्स की फार्मर्स अफेक्ट होंगे या नहीं होंगे वो भी बात कही थी उसने और वीगन आखिरी के दो पैराग्राफ्स में ही सेड दैट वीगन होना ऐसे जरूरी नहीं है कि एवरी डे और वी बिकम अल्ट्रा वीगन वो अल्ट्रा वीगन्स के खिलाफ भी बोल रहा था सोशल मीडिया पे भी उसको कोई कुछ मतलब दे वर कमिंग अप और कमेंटिंग देयर तो ही सेड नो आई विल डू व्हाट आई वांट टू डू आई एम आई विल चेंज टू अ वीगन बट अंडर माय ओन pointers. Okay. I'll lie down my own rules. That is what he said. So, understanding the passage, reading the passage would have been easy. इसमें 2.5 minutes तुम्हें लगे होंगे क्योंकि थोड़ा सा लेंदी था. But let us see if the questions were easy. So what is the author's main reason for looking forward to his first vegan Christmas? Vegan Christmas का कहाँ पे आया था, हम वहीं पे चले जाएंगे, क्योंकि उसने कहा था कि हमें मुझे बहुत सारा फूड मिलेगा. तो that part of the passage was about food, right? He has to support means compulsion, not required. He has recently learned about the environmental impact of meat consumption. Recent environmental impact of meat, no. He has received backlash from the meat producers, but that was far in the passage. So backlash or meat producers, और उनको वो प्रूव करना चाहता था, तो he did not want to prove others. He said that he'll be vegan just because he wants to. He'll eat what he wants to, not because what others will do or say. तो डी और बी आउट हो जाते हैं क्योंकि यहाँ पे कंपल्शन दिखता है, और रिसेंटली लर्न हम कर नहीं सकते कि हमें पता चला कि अभी अभी है. पर देन अंडरस्टैंड, उसे लर्निंग वाला वर्ड भले दिया था, पर सिर्फ लर्निंग वाले वर्ड की वजह से हम बी मार्क करेंगे ऐसा नहीं है. The major focus was that there were many things to eat. Based on the passage, which of the following can be inferred about the author's attitude? So, what his attitude was, he believes that all livestock farmers should make a transition. Author acknowledges the complexity of ethical and environmental friendly eating. उसने कहा था, सही है, अच्छा है, environmental friendly eating होना चाहिए, पर complex भी है. Author believes that veganism is the only solution, जरूरी नहीं है. And is he critical of farmers who produce high welfare meat? Is not critical there. He says good farmers हैं, bad farmers हैं. हमें एटीट्यूड टुवर्ड्स वेगनिज्म चाहिए, टुवर्ड्स फार्मर्स की बात नहीं थी. तो अगर ये सेंटेंस सही भी लगता है, लेकिन आंसर नहीं होगा क्योंकि फार्मर्स के लिए. दिस वाज अ पैराग्राफ वे यू वुड हैव गॉट इट. विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग कैन बी अ कंक्लूजन बेस्ड ऑन द पैसेज. ठीक है, हमने देखो क्रिटिकल रीजनिंग भी हम करते ही हैं, तो कंक्लूजन क्या होगा कि वट एवर इज गिवन इन द पैसेज, राइट. तो बेस्ड ऑन द पैसेज मीन बेस्ड ऑन द गिवन फैक्ट्स ऑफ द पैसेज. गिवन फैक्ट्स है, रीजनिंग है, उसके हिसाब से हम उसमें से क्या कंक्लूड कर सकते हैं, दैट विल बी योर आंसर. सो ऑथर बिलीव्स दैट वीगन फूड इज द ओनली सॉल्यूशन. नो. ऑथर हैज कंप्लीटली ट्रांसिशनड. ऑथर acknowledges the challenges, complexities of ethical eating and recognizes the need for supporting high welfare farmers. ये सही है. उसने कहा फेस क्रिटिसिज्म, तो ठीक है, अल्ट्रा वीगन से, बट नॉट बीइंग स्ट्रिक्ट इनफ इन हिज एडहेरेंस, ये भी सही था, राइट. बट देन कंक्लूजन में हमें सिर्फ ऑथर पे कंक्लूड नहीं करना है, because though the passage was, he started with his own in anecdotes and incidents and all, but then the focus of the passage was about the veganism, about the challenges posed there, and therefore we have C as the answer. You'll get it from these three paragraphs. पूरा यहाँ पे कॉम्प्लेक्स इश्यूज वाला था, वीगन वाला, लॉट्स ऑफ पीपल, सोशल मीडिया है, ठीक है, बट ही विल गो फॉर 3-4 days. So that was how you could have understood. So it was not required to refer to the passage again. Which of the following would not be an appropriate title? Again, I'm repeating here that do not skip the words. I am sure, definitely, that quite a few of you would have missed this word not. इतना जल्दी पढ़ते हो, इतना जल्दी मत पढ़ो. तो जिसका भी ये अगर रीडिंग में प्रॉब्लम हुआ है, तो नेक्स्ट टाइम यू रीड द क्वेश्चन केयरफुली. कौन सा टाइटल नहीं हो सकता है वो मार्क करना था. एक्सप्लोरिंग द कॉम्प्लेक्सिटीज ऑफ एथिकल ईटिंग एंड वीगनिज्म पॉसिबल है. बेनिफिट्स एंड चैलेंजेस ऑफ वीगनियरी, ये भी पॉसिबल है, ठीक है, क्योंकि वो कहीं ना कहीं चैलेंजेस की बात कर रहे थे. फाइंडिंग फ्लेवर्स एंड फेसिंग बैकलैश, तो ये है तो सही, but was he finding the flavors? He got. He came to know. He learned about them. He was not searching for the flavors, right? And facing backlash, my vegan journey. तो अगर my vegan journey होती, तो क्या वो farmers के बारे में लिखता? Question. क्या वो complexity के बारे में लिखता? Again a question. क्या वो सिर्फ ethics के बारे में लिखता? Ethical वाला जो point दिया था ना उसने, right? Understand. Would he write about good and bad farmers? Would he write about हाँ मीडिया बैकलैश, तो उसने लिखा है यहाँ पे, राइट. But then would he write about the ultra vegans if he's talking about his journey? So this was what I was giving you in the previous question based on title also जब भी आया था कि start writing a mental essay and then question yourself. So take this example, A option, right? And if you start writing a mental essay, then question yourself. Will you add whatever is given in the passage? Immediately you will get the answer yes or no. तो यहाँ पे हम वो चीजें ऐड कर सकते हैं. ठीक है. सेकेंड में भी बेनिफिट्स एंड चैलेंजेस ऑफ वीगनरी में हम अपने ओपिनियंस देके हम अपने इंसिडेंट्स देके भी चैलेंजेस की बात कर सकते हैं. तो वी वुड ऐड वट एवर इज गिवन देयर इन द पैसेज. तो इसका भी यस आएगा. बट इफ इट वी राइट एन एसे ऑन फाइंडिंग फ्लेवर्स एंड फेसिंग बैकलैश, राइट, इस पे अगर हमने सोचा कि कैन वी ऐड ऑल दैट इज गिवन देयर इन द पैराग्राफ, सो दिस वाज व्हाट आई टोल्ड यू टू थिंक. फार्मर्स पे लिखते क्या हम, कॉम्प्लेक्स है वीगनरी उस पे लिखते क्या, हम एथिक्स के बारे में लिखते क्या, पर मैं तो माय वीगन जर्नी के बारे में लिखना है मुझे, फिर मैं ये सारी चीजें कैसे ऐड करूं. तो इमीडिएटली आंसर आ जाता है नो, आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू ऐड ऑल दीज थिंग्स. नो, इफ आई वांट टू राइट माय वीगन जर्नी, it started from 1st January and it ended on 1st of May. So I'll talk about that. कैसे मैं पूरा वीकेंड हो गया या कैसे चेंज हुए या whatever. So we'll talk about the journey, right? I'm not going to talk about farmers and complexities there. And therefore, इसके लिए नो आता. एंड रिस्पॉन्सिबल फार्मिंग है, प्लांट बेस्ड डाइट है, हाउ इट इज बीइंग ट्रांसिशनड. ट्रांसिशन मीन्स इट इज नॉट एन ओवरनाइट टर्निंग चेंजिंग, नो, इट इज ग्रेजुअल देयर. एंड देयरफॉर यहाँ पे आंसर आ जाता है यस, आई विल ऐड ऑल दोज थिंग्स विथ माय ओन एक्सपीरियंसेस, राइट. एंड देयरफॉर यू हैव सी एज द आंसर. Coming to the last question, what can be understood about the author's stance on the vegan movement and consumer choices? Again, his stance means what was his take or what did he consider this to be? Author believes that everyone should participate in everyone. पर एवरीवन तो खुद के लिए ही उसने बोला था कि मेरी जब मर्जी होगी तब हम वीगन बनेंगे. तो एवरीवन वाज अ वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग वर्ड, सो दैट विल बी एलिमिनेटेड. Author appreciates the variety, fine, ये पॉजिटिव वर्ड है. Variety in flavors of vegan foods, ये भी था. Acknowledges the challenges, ये भी सही है. Maintaining a strict vegan lifestyle, ये भी सही है. So he was acknowledging the complexity, the challenges of maintaining a strict vegan lifestyle. This can be the answer. We'll still go to the third one. Is he criticizing veganism as an ineffective solution? Incorrect. He believes that veganism is a trend that will eventually fade away. No. So we have strong enough reason to eliminate C and D. Reading the question well, coming to the B, you could have marked the answer. Right? So we have difficulty level moderate, कर सकते हैं 4 on 5. बेटर अगर किसी ने पूरा ये सिर्फ लेंदी की वजह से नहीं हटाया हो, so you could have got all 5 correct out of 5. Right? So those who were able to understand the content of the passage, which one you should have done, this was a definitely doable passage. So now if we come up with questions, if we say out of 25 questions, as I said earlier, you could have easily done 23, easily done 23, getting 5 incorrect, as I said in the middle of this article, this analysis also. So anywhere between 18 getting correct हो सकता था, 19 plus correct हो सकते थे. This was excellent, as I said earlier. So now you know where you stand. So that's all for today from our side. And all the best for your next test whenever you take it. So that's all. Thank you and stay logical.